Hi, I'm Angelo and I'm an expert in artificial intelligence, and today we're going to be talking about how AI can help in the farming and agriculture industry. Farming is a very conservative industry. After all, without farming we wouldn't have anything to eat, so by default it has to be quite conservative to ensure that we do get something to eat at the end of the day. However, AI can help farmers establish better agricultural practices and also achieve higher yields in a more sustainable and better quality manner for everyone. There are many different aspects of how AI can help farmers. One of them is situational monitoring and farm monitoring. There are different ways in which AI can do this. One is by having a drone that flies over the entire farmland and checks the crops in both normal light and also in infrared and ultraviolet light. Why? Because in infrared and ultraviolet light, plants give off a particular reflection that can determine just by looking at them in this light whether they are healthy or diseased. And by having a drone that can fly very close to the plants, you can also see in detail which plants are particularly diseased, which ones are healthy, which ones are ripe to harvest, and so on and so forth, giving you very accurate situational awareness, and this process can be repeated constantly. So the farmer can sit down and have a report on where to send people to harvest or where to send robots in the future to harvest the products. In conjunction with UAVs and drones, farmers can also have equipment, sensors and cameras that are on the tractors, on the harvesters, that can look at the plant in a very close manner. In fact, there are many tractor manufacturers that have been collecting slowly over time images of plants and asking the farmers themselves to provide information. Is this a healthy plant? Is this a diseased plant? And so like this, the expertise and the knowledge of the farmers can be crowdsourced and utilized by AI in order to learn how a healthy plant looks like, how a plant that is ready to be harvested looks like, how a diseased plant looks like, and also what disease there is, and using the farmer's knowledge, what action do you need to do in order to eliminate this threat. Situational awareness can also be achieved in indoor farming practices, as more and more specialty crops are grown in greenhouses and also indoors, and using systems like lasers, using systems like hydroponics. This is also an area where AI can help get better yields and also fresh produce that is grown in cities rather than just urban and agricultural land. Farms are quite interesting from an AI perspective because they produce thousands of data points every day. And using sensors that are embedded in the soil, remote sensing platforms, cameras, and also observational data by people in the field, he can gain a lot of information. He can also tie this to the things like weather patterns, expected rainfall, and different soil conditions to make a very good prediction of what is the best crop to grow in what part of the farm, and also how to make sure that the soil is not overworked, because this is something that is very important and also reduces the use of fertilizer and other practices that may not be so sustainable for the environment. By analyzing all this, AI can also help farmers make the best decisions on what crops to grow, what hybrid seeds to use, if any, and also how to water the plants, how to take care of them, and also maybe optimizing the schedule of when to harvest them, and also making sure that there is a better yield achieved and thus higher income for the farmers, making it into a more sustainable process. The development of AI systems for farmers that is affordable is very important and key for us to be able to keep up with the increase in demand for more food, because there are more and more people, and we still need fresh food rather than eating everything processed. And this is a very important aspect because more than 70% of the world's food is produced by small farms, who may not be able to afford the latest technology, who may not be able to afford to have a fleet of drones that are monitoring the farm. So affordable solutions are key and necessity to make sure that we have a more inclusive society that enables and supports local farmers. Rather than having to import everything from a very far away place, we actually make sure that we eat stuff that is grown close by to us. Once the crops are growing and it is time for harvest, AI can help in making sure that the harvesting process is scheduled in a better way, and also making sure that the most of the manual labor is utilized in the best and most optimal manner. AI can help in the harvesting process, and in some things, for example, like grains, you can do it quite efficiently. In other products that are softer and also require delicate handling, AI and robots are still a little bit far off in order to help people in this process. But it is, I think, a matter of time before this also gets done. Once the produce is collected, obviously there is the problem of logistics and transport, of selling the produce. And I think this is where AI can also help in making sure that there is a better exchange, better matching of supply and demand, and also cutting down the number of middlemen involved. Because the ideal scenario is that the farmers sends to maybe one step to some kind of centralized distributor or aggregator, and then those get sold off to a supermarket or directly to the consumers, and this is how the chain of middlemen is also cut down, and thus ensuring that the farmers themselves get a better price and a fairer deal. I think fairer deals for local farmers is the best way to support, especially those small farms that need to be incentivized to in order to continue their work and also to make better produce that everyone wants. With AI, we are coming to this process called precision agriculture, in which we use AI and technological sensors to make sure that we apply just the right amount of insecticide, pesticide, and also the right amount of nutrients that the plants need and also other crops need in order to grow in a bountiful and high yield manner. Yet, using the minimum amount of bad practices that unfortunately have become the mainstay in the past of farming, especially mass production. Ideally, we would like to have organic practices and also similar practices to be widespread in order to ensure that we have the healthiest possible food that is delivered to everyone. And AI can also achieve this by having the patience to manually and mechanically check for pests in each and every plant. Maybe this is something that a human cannot really do on a large scale, but an AI robot that is constantly checking plants, that is constantly checking the produce, can actually do. And I believe that there will be a new class of food production in the future, sort of organic but enhanced with AI, in which you have organic farming yet having the same yields as non-organic farming and having a better and fairer distribution channel to us all. And I'm looking to hear your thoughts on how this can build a better world. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.